rise. Today's the 18th day of December in the year 2024. The Frisco Municipal Court is now in session with the Honorable Judge Ron Carlson presiding.
Please be seated. As I said, ladies and gentlemen, this gentleman. For many of you, this is the first time in court, at least the first time in this court. Court procedures require that I first advise you, meaning I'm to inform you of the nature of the charges against you, the maximum penalty, and ask you questions that establish you've read and understood your legal rights. As to the nature of the charges, I just read the name of the charge. If you don't know what speeding means, I can read the statutory definition, but it only requires that you generally know. It's not intended to get into the detailed facts of your case. The maximum penalty, I will advise you on each charge, but generally on traffic tickets, it's points and dollars, unless you're going really fast. And on ordinances, it's a possibility of 364 days in jail and the possibility of a fine as high as $2,650. After I do that, then we can get to how you want to handle the case. Most of you will talk to the prosecutor and then have agreed on some disposition. And then there's a few questions I have to ask you to make sure it's a knowing, free, and voluntary plea is the phrase in the law. So bear with me. These are required procedures intended to protect your legal rights and to make sure you understand why you're here and what you're doing. That all being said, looks like the first case I have is Bailey Pine. Good evening. Sir, you were summoned to court to answer allegations. You violated Model Traffic Code Section 1101, speeding 10 to 19 over the posted limit. Do you understand the charge? Yep. Maximum penalty is 4 points on your driving record and a fine as high as $2,650, though the scheduled fine is much less. You understand the maximum penalty. You were provided the written advisement of legal rights. Did you get a chance to read and review those rights? Do you have any questions about your rights? Do you feel you understand them? Do you know what a trial is? You understand you have a right to an attorney? You understand you're presumed innocent unless you admit guilt? I have paperwork that says you wish to enter into a bargain for a 3-point special hazard speeding. Is that what you wish to do? You understand by pleading guilty to 3-point special hazard speeding, you are giving up all the rights listed in the right sheet, which means there'll be no trial, there'll be no witnesses. The prosecutor won't have to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You are giving up your presumption of innocence and right to an attorney. Yes. Did anybody threaten you, force you, coerce you, or otherwise make you plead guilty? No. Anybody promise you anything not said in court? No. It's your free and voluntary plea. Are you under the influence of anything that affects your ability to make a decision? Now that I've asked all the qualifying questions, how do you plead to 3-point speeding? Guilty. Court accepts your plea, finding to be freely, voluntarily, and knowingly made. You're entitled to make a statement, welcome to make a statement, but not required to make a statement before I impose sentence. Is there anything you'd like to tell me? So why do you keep speeding all the time?
I've been unlucky. I don't think I am going anything too crazy over the speed limit. I think the majority of people that drive through town go that speed. Yeah. I mean,
Well, you got 2 prior convictions this year, one in Summit County for 10 to 19 over.
One of them I could have definitely fought. I just didn't fight it because I just figured it'd just be time consuming. But now that the points count, since I began to get a good amount, I regret that. But yeah.
And then one in Idaho Springs, 3-point, too fast for conditions, still in 2024. And then you were in front of me back in 2023 for 20 to 39 over. Didn't I send you to driving school to help you out back then?
Don't believe so.
Well, I'm going to do it now. You need to change your habits. You're going to hurt somebody, maybe even yourself. Order level 1 driving school.
Was this in the plea?
Say again?
I thought I talked to him about taking a plea and we agreed on what the results would be.
The judge has the right to add to it. If you want to withdraw the plea and go to trial, that's fine. Sure. No, I mean, you basically come to an agreement, but there's nothing in here about the dollars or classes. This is just what the charge is. Change the charge by 1 point. But as far as the sentence, that's up to the judge. In Colorado, that's how it's divided up. Prosecutors in charge of the charges, judges in charge of the penalty. And again, if you don't like what I say, you can withdraw the plea and we'll set it for a trial. Your choice. So anyhow, level 1 driving school by our court in February is the 26th, 19th. Because I'm sending you to driving school, I will cut the fine some.
To keep the fine at the point.
Say that again?
Are you able to give me the same fine but take away the points instead or no?
Nope, points are goes with the charge that you've agreed to with the prosecutor. So $80 fine, $55 in costs and surcharge for a total of $135. Can you pay that today? Please see my court clerk. Diego, can't read the writing, Tilano Garcia. Is that how you say your name, sir? Am I close?
Santillano.
Okay. Partially, I can't read the officer's printing of your name. If I can't spell it, it's harder to pronounce it. Sir, you were summoned to court to answer allegations. You violated Model Traffic Code Section 1101, speeding 10 to 19 over the posted limit. Do you understand the charge? Carries a possible penalty of 4 points on your driving record and a fine as high as $2,650. Do you understand the penalty maximum? You were provided the written advisement of legal rights. Did you get a chance to read and review your legal rights? Do you have any questions about those rights?
No.
Do you feel you understand them?
I believe so, yeah.
Do you know what a trial is?
Yeah, I have an idea, but
Do you want an explanation?
that's fine, Judge.
And you understand you have a right to hire a lawyer. I don't have any paperwork, so what am I doing with your case?
Well, last time I was here, I wasn't able to come to with they were never give me a plea deal. And when I talked to you, you said they might be able to lower the points, not change the charges. Since I got
CDL?
Yes, sir.
And that would be up to whether the prosecutor would recommend that.
No.
I explained to the defendant, the prosecutor's stance on CDLs and that we're just not doing point reductions, deals, anything when it comes to CDLs.
So your only other option would be to set it for trial. Do you want to do that? Or do you want to accept the penalty?
Yes, I believe I will have to.
I didn't quite catch it. Please say that again. All right. All right. You understand by pleading guilty, you are giving up all the rights listed in the right sheet, which means there'll be no trial, there'll be no witnesses. The prosecutor will not have to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You're giving up your presumption of innocence and right to an attorney. Did anybody threaten you, force you, coerce you, or otherwise make you plead guilty? Did anybody promise you anything that's not been said in court? Is this your free and voluntary plea? Are you under the influence of anything that affects your ability to make a decision?
Yes, sir.
Now that I've asked you the questions, I have to ask, how do you plead to the charge? Court accepts your plea, find me freely, voluntarily, and knowingly made. You're welcome to make a statement. You're entitled to make a statement, but not required to. Is there anything you would like to tell me?
No, sir.
Um, you were here in front of me earlier this year.
Yes, about a month ago, and I had, for the same ticket.
Please continue, Your Honor. Please
No,
continue.
it's showing a 4-point speed for 20 to 39 over, which isn't right on the record here
This history.
in the history, which looks like it's not reported correctly. It can't be 4 points unless someone reported the points less.
I think it may actually be a result of paying the ticket within the 21-day time frame.
Okay.
Because
That would make.
even if I hadn't noticed the CDL, based on its history, I would have given him a 3-point deal on that if there was a deal. So that's probably why why you don't remember him. Is
Okay.
probably just paid the ticket.
That's
I
not.
think that- And just for
You
the
had a
record,
bad year in
Judge,
2018. 3 tickets. And 1 in 2019, and then 2024. So you did get a 5-year gap in there.
Yeah, I try to be pretty careful when I'm driving, especially my truck. This was all my personal vehicle. You know, to be honest, it was very early in the morning. There was no traffic, and I
Okay. All right.
just exited the highway. I was, it goes from 45 to 35 exactly at that point where the officer sits at. So
So you're confident that you don't need driving school?
I don't think I do.
Does the prosecutor wish to comment on that?
I'm fine with whatever you do, Judge.
All right. Well, you're right on the verge of me sending you to driving school. Let me put it that way. You just need to be more careful out there. All right. You're getting the 4 points. $100 fine, $55 in costs and surcharge, total $155. Did you pay that? Please see my court clerk. Anthony Munoz. Good evening. Sir, you were summoned to court to answer allegations you violated Model Traffic Code Section 1101, speeding 10 to 19 miles an hour over the posted limit. You understand the charge of speeding. Maximum penalty is 4 points on your driving record and a possible fine as high as $2,650. Do you understand the maximum penalty?
Yes.
You were provided, you were provided the written advisement of legal rights. Did you get a chance to read and review that?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about your legal rights? Do you feel you understand them? Do you know what a trial is? You understand you have a right to an attorney. I have paperwork that says you wish to plead to a 2-point defective vehicle. Is that correct? You understand that by pleading to a 2-point defective vehicle, you're giving up all the rights listed in the rights sheet.
Yes.
That means no trial, no witnesses. The prosecutor will not have to prove you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. You are giving up your presumption of innocence and right to an attorney. Did anybody threaten you, force you, or otherwise make you plead guilty against your will? Anybody promise you anything not said in court?
No.
This is a voluntary plea. Are you under the influence of anything that affects your ability to make a decision?
No.
Now, we've covered all those bases. How do you plead to defective vehicle?
Guilty.
Court accepts your plea, find me freely, voluntarily, and knowingly made. You're entitled to make a statement and welcome to, but not required to. Is there anything you'd like to tell me?
No.
Troy, Michigan, I know that place. Were you off of Big Beaver?
I'm like a mile away from there. Yeah, Long Lake and Adams.
Okay. I spent a few years at the other end of Adams Road at Oakland.
I'm in that county where my parents are.
Um, fine of $55 in court costs and surcharge, total 125. Can you pay that? Please see my court clerk. And we have a 5:30. Wow. Very good.
Your Honor, can I just quickly get something on the record?
Yes, you should. Oh,
For our 6 p.m. trial, Maloney Martin, the people moved to dismiss there. The victim decided not to pursue charges. The allegation was that he almost hit someone in a parking lot, and she was that person that was going to testify as to that. And she's dealing with some medical issues and did not want to pursue this any further.
okay. With no witness, you have no case. Motion to dismiss granted.
We go into recess until.
Go into recess. Yes, off the record.
Can't call, well, we could start the trial, but I have to call the interpreter at 5:30.
Okay.
And it's completely up to you. Do you want the interpreter for the entire trial or
Who's
just
who's the interpreter interpreting for?
the witness that's called by the
Okay,
defendant?
not for the defendant.
The witness called by the defendant.
All right, well, then we should probably start the trial.
But do we want the interpreter for the entire trial?
No.
Just while the witness is
The
speaking?
witness doesn't have a right to the interpreter.
Well, Judge O'Connor approved it,
Okay,
a bit. I know. That's why we have an interpreter.
well, I don't know if we're gonna get to the defendant's case in 10 minutes. I guess is the other issue.
Okay.
I-
We're not on the record.
I'm willing to accommodate the witness. I just, is it proper for the defendant to present a witness before I've done my thing? I'd obviously leave that up to you. I'm fine with that if that's the way we're going.
Well, the clerk of the court was concerned we would lose our interpreter's
Well,
spot.
that's what I've been told. If we don't call at 5:30 exactly, we'll lose the interpreter.
All right. Let's start and we will interrupt and do things out of order at 5:30.
Okay.
All right.
We'll go back on the record then. So this stand is going to be at that end of the dais,
Sure.
so they have a microphone.
Well, I think the witness is over the phone, right?
Correct.
Okay.
But anybody that's being questioned needs to sit there near the microphone.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Again, if I can read the officer's handwriting.
Call the interpreter.
All right.
On the landline in the background.
Sir, is your name I've code Milev? Okay. Between the handwriting and my inability to pronounce things. Sir, we're ready to proceed for trial. Are you ready? You received a copy of our trial rights and procedures?
I do.
All right. Please have a seat. Any opening statement for the people?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Opening statement for the defense.
Your Honor,
I have a full history behind it, and I wanna explain fully in front of everyone, everybody what happened. And why I'm here to defend myself.
Okay. First witness.
Your Honor, the people call Officer Caleb Wilson.
Right hand, you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury. Please be seated.
Could you please state your name and occupation?
Yeah, Caleb Wilson, police officer with Town of Frisco.
And how long have you been a police officer?
Now for about a year and a few months now.
And for that year and a few months, have you always been employed by the town of Frisco?
That's correct.
And were you employed by the town of Frisco on May 3rd, 2024? And did you work a shift that day?
Yes, sir.
And do you remember if you were on duty at or about 8:09 p.m. on that day?
I was.
And do you remember what sort of duties you were performing at that time?
I was monitoring street speeds on Summit Boulevard, traffic speeds.
And while you were doing that, did you issue any traffic citations?
I did.
And did you issue any traffic citations on May 3rd at Summit Boulevard and Main Street?
I did.
And have you received training in the estimation of vehicular speed prior to May 3rd?
I have.
And could you describe that training for the court?
Yeah, so LiDAR training, it goes through various steps of VSE, which is a visual speed estimate. And then obviously to confirm your visual speed estimate, you bring up what's called LiDAR. It's a scientifically and state certified device that will bounce a laser off of a moving object back to the LiDAR and will give you an approximate speed of how fast that object is going.
Mm-hmm. And what is a LiDAR?
LiDAR it's a speed gun.
Thank you. So May 3rd, 2024, 8:09 p.m., you're working and you're monitoring traffic on Summit. Do you remember what you observed?
Yeah, I observed a white Tesla that was going approximately 55 miles per hour. VSE, 55 miles per hour down Summit, which is a 35 mile per hour zone. I use LiDAR to verify VSE, and can I refer to my report?
Sure. So you've forgotten something, and your report would help you remember. Showing the defendant a copy of the report. May I approach the witness? Please read this over silently until your memory's refreshed, and then hand it back to me.
Okay.
So is your memory refreshed?
It is.
So
Oh,
what did you observe at that time when you were pulling the vehicle over, the white Tesla?
again, I observed the white Tesla going approximately VSE of 55 miles per hour down 35 mile per hour zone. Brought LiDAR up to verify VSE and locked in the defendant at 56 miles per hour at 808 feet on my LiDAR.
Gotcha. And do you know where the speed limit is posted heading southbound on Summit Boulevard?
There are 4 signs coming from I-70 all the way to Summit and Main Street. There's one by in front of the Walmart, and then there's one by BMO Bank, and there's one that is next to on and Summit Boulevard, and there's one right next to where I am posted at what's called the Pump House.
And do all those signs say 35 miles per hour?
Correct.
And so the 4th sign is the one that would be next to where you pulled over the white Tesla?
No, I pulled him over at Summit and Eighth. I said Summit and Main. That's where I initiated the traffic stop. He stopped at Summit and Eighth.
So was that past the force sign?
Yeah, that's past the speed limit
Okay.
sign.
And where you pulled over the white Tesla, is that in the town of Frisco?
Yes,
And is it in the county of Summit?
yes.
Uh, so you mentioned that you used the LiDAR device. Are you a trained and certified operator of the particular device? And what was required to be certified?
It was a certain amount of hours through law enforcement academy. I completed through Colorado Mountain College.
Uh, Your Honor, I have what's been previously marked as People's Exhibit 1. Handed a copy to the defendant. May I approach? Officer Wilson, do you recognize this document?
I do.
And how do you recognize that document?
I received it after completing the training at Colorado Mountain College.
And is it in substantially the same condition as when you were issued it?
It is.
And is that your name on the certificate?
It is.
And does that certificate indicate that you successfully completed the training and that you're able to accurately visually estimate the speed of a vehicle traveling from to you and away from you?
Correct.
And does the certificate also indicate that you successfully completed training that makes you a certified operator of a LiDAR device?
It does.
Your Honor, I ask that Officer Caleb Wilson's LiDAR certification be admitted into evidence as People's Exhibit 1.
I'm sorry, you recorded record, you have to be loud enough for me to hear. Thank you. It is admitted.
So this LiDAR device, you were mentioning that it gets calibrated so that, what does the calibration mean?
So I go out on the west side of the building. Oh, sorry.
What does it mean for it to be calibrated?
Be calibrated. It's just making sure that is working order before my shift.
And is there a way to know that it's working accurately other than you testing it yourself?
That's yes.
And Your Honor, well, let me ask, how do you know that it's an accurate device without testing it yourself?
So it does do a self-test on it when you turn it on, and it runs through all the internals.
Maybe I'm asking the wrong question. Does the device get certified by anyone?
The state of Colorado.
And do you keep certification records of the device? Your Honor, I have what's been previously marked as People's Exhibit 2. May I approach? Officer Wilson, do you recognize this document?
I do.
And how do you recognize the document?
It's the certificate that we get from the Department of Agriculture in Colorado State.
Cynthia, I have a pre-scheduled call arranged. Okay.
Sorry, one.
No worries.
One 70736.
I guess the record should reflect, in case it's not clear, that we're pausing. The court clerk is on the phone with the translation service.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Hello. We were in the middle of a court session. This was prearranged. Please. Expedite your request, please.
Or tell them we can call them back in 15 minutes.
Yes, Donna, I'm gonna need to put you on hold so I can get the other party that needs the interpreter on. Can you hold on a moment, please? Thank you. Evelina? Hi, is Sudana available? This is Janice calling from the Frisco Municipal Court. Okay, we have a translator on the phone. She's saying it's gonna be another 10 minutes.
We're not going to sit here for 10 minutes. Go back to the interpreter and ask the interpreter if she'll be available in 15 minutes.
I'll have to call you back. Interpreter? Will you be available in 10 minutes? The
15.
15 minutes, the defendant or the witness is not ready. Okay, thank you.
You may continue your examination.
One second, please.
In case that's not clear on the record, the court clerk called the interpreter service, got the interpreter, called for the witness, but was informed the witness was not available. So we will continue.
For 10 minutes.
How do you know that that certification is a copy of your LiDAR device's calibration certificate?
Was provided by the department, Frisco Police Department.
And is there anything on there that lets you know that it's for your device?
The serial number.
And does the serial number on the certificate match the serial number of the device that you used on May 3rd, 2024?
That's correct.
And does the certificate look like a true and accurate copy of the certificate as you last saw it?
It does.
And is it in the same or substantially the same condition
It
as
is.
the last time you saw it?
It is.
Your Honor, I ask that People's Exhibit 2 be admitted into evidence.
Any objection? Admitted.
Okay, so before I interrupted you to go on about the certificate, you were describing a test that you perform to make sure that your device is working accurately for your shift. Could you please describe some of these tests for the court?
Yeah, so on the east side of the police department, or west side, correction, there are two set locations that we test distance to. There is a parking sign, or it's a handicap entrance sign. And from from a light post to that sign, it's 43 feet. And when I did that test, it came back as 43 feet. And then from that same light pole to the parking fence, which is on the north side, northeast or northwest side of the police department, it's 63 feet. And
Is this what's known as the known distance test?
it is.
Okay, please continue.
When I did that distance, it was the same, 63. Just to make sure that it is in running condition, I point my LiDAR at, well, spacing the name of the mountain now.
You can describe.
Anyways, yeah, it's on the west side of the building. There's a mountain that I face. And I point my laser at that mountain. Of course, it doesn't give a reading. And I pan it over until it hits a tower, which is in the west side west side parking lot. And it will read 70 feet. And that's what my readings were.
And do you do any other tests to make sure the unit's working properly before a shift or during a shift?
It's just a calibration on the device itself. It will run through a test by itself just to make sure that it is all working condition, and it will come back as test failed or test passed. That day it did come back as test passed.
And when you clocked the vehicle on May 3rd, 2024 at 8:09 p.m., were you operating this device in conformance with your training and with the tests that you performed prior to that?
It was.
And you mentioned earlier, but did you get a reading from the LiDAR on the Tesla heading southbound on Summit Boulevard on May 3rd?
I did. It read at a steady tone of 56 miles per hour.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask that you take judicial notice of the scientific principles underlying the use of laser to determine speed pursuant to People v. Walker.
Any objection?
Your Honor, I've got an objection. I don't question the certificates of the officer. I don't have objection at all. I'm not clear how they calibrate this. The officer was not clearly specifying how they calibrate these devices. But I'm not here to question the technology. I'm here to explain something else. What I have. Chance. Thank you.
Well, and I will thank you for that. So I hear you're not objecting to technology, and the court will take judicial notice pursuant to Walker, as well as prior cases where this court has conducted its own hearing about LiDAR and find it to be based on sound scientific principles and accurate.
Thank you, Your Honor. When you see the Tesla heading southbound, what do you do with your LiDAR device?
After I lock in the speed or before.
Yeah, just kind of run the court through the steps of you've made your visual speed estimate, you see the Tesla, so what do you do from there?
So once I make my visual speed estimate on the vehicle, bring the LiDAR up, bring the sight of the LiDAR, which is just basically a red dot onto a vehicle showing that's where the laser is traveling. That's when I brought my laser up to the white Tesla, and that's when I got my return of 56 miles per hour.
And then you proceeded to pull the vehicle over?
I initiated a traffic stop on the vehicle, explained the reasoning behind the traffic stop, and I think I believe the statement was I didn't see the speed limit signs, which I advised the defendant that mistake of law is not a valid offense. And I did ask the defendant out of the vehicle to do voluntary roadside maneuvers, as I did smell alcohol coming from the vehicle. Based on my roadside maneuvers, I deemed that the defendant was safe to operate in the vehicle, allowed him to get back in the vehicle, and continued with the citation process and cited him.
And at any point from using the LiDAR device to pulling over the vehicle, did you lose track of the Tesla, or is it possible that it was another Tesla that you pulled over?
No.
And the person that you made do the roadside maneuvers and you spoke with that was driving the vehicle, is that person in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Could you please point him out for the record? Please note that the witness identified the defendant as the driver of the vehicle that day.
Noted.
Is there anything else you'd like the court to know?
No, sir.
Then I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Let's call the witness again and see if the witness is available.
Ma'am, I have an appointment to speak with an interpreter. We have to call back. Because, the witness that we're using that requires a interpreter is not available. And the interpreter said that she would be available in 10 to 15 minutes. This is 170736. Thank you. Thank you. Is this Donna? Okay. Yes, Donna, I'm going to put you on hold so I can get the person who needs the interpretation. Can you hold on, please? Hi, is Evelina? Okay, can you put her on the phone, please? Okay, I'm gonna bring the interpreter on the line and then I'm gonna have to conference you folks into the Zoom call. Hold on, please. Interpreter? Yes, interpreter, we have Sidana on the line. If you could introduce yourself to her, please.
Thank you. One moment. Здравейте, аз се казвам Дона и съм преводач на български. И ви помогна с този разговор. Чувате ли ме добре? Тя не ви чува, аз съм Махая, ако може по-силно.
Не ви чувам, с слушалки съм.
She said, I have maybe hearing aids or
Yes.
headphones. I cannot hear you. The interpreter will repeat again in Bulgarian the introduction. Здравейте, аз се казвам Дона и съм преводач с български. Ще ви помогна с този разговор.
Да, да.
Yes.
I need to give the interpreter's oath.
Interpreter, Judge Carlson needs to give you an oath.
Yes, yes, yes.
Do you
I'm ready for
solemnly
it.
swear,
Okay.
do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully translate each and every word stated verbatim from English to Bulgarian and Bulgarian to English to the best of your ability under penalty of perjury?
I do.
Thank you.
I do.
Sir, your witness, ask your questions.
Yes, Your Honor. So the witness is Fidana, is my mom.
Apologize for the interruption. The interpreter cannot hear very well. The sound is very quiet. Is it possible to increase the volume or speak into the microphone?
Yes, can you come over here, please? No, come over to the speaker. Just stand on this side of the desk.
You hear me there?
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you,
Okay.
sir. This is much better.
Yeah, so I'd like to ask Fidana if she was traveling with me on that specific date when I was stopped by the police.
Госпожо, вие пътувате ли с мене на този ден, когато бях спрян от полицията?
Да. Като
Yes.
пътувахме с него. На същата дата
We were traveling.
неговото семейство. Идвахме от тебе.
Един момент. Yes, we were traveling with him on that day. All right.
Did we travel from Denver to Breckenridge and did we stop for dinner at restaurant here in Frisco?
Ние пътувахме от Денвър до Брекенридж и спряхме в ресторант тук. Може би Питсбърг.
Nuevo Vallarta. The name is Nuevo Vallarta. She doesn't remember the owner.
It is not very clear.
Everybody stop. Unfortunately, the rule is, get to ask questions, she gets to answer. If she can't answer, she can't answer. You don't get to testify about what she saw or did, only she does. So do the best you can, but otherwise it just isn't there.
Спомняте ли си къде се намира ресторанта относно коя улица?
It is unclear what the question is. That trip where the restaurant is, on which street? This is what literally said.
Does the witness need to say if she remembers the street? I do apologize.
Yeah, if she remembered the street or the name of the restaurant.
Помниш ли улицата, на която...
Госпожо, можете ли да си спомните улицата или името на ресторанта? I don't remember anything.
Was the restaurant really close to the main street?
Този ресторант беше ли доста близо до главната улица?
Този ресторант се спомня колко близко. Аз съм възрастен човек, 89 години съм. Но ядахме и слушахме час и половина най-много.
Един момент.
Дохазахме на
Един момент.
беше
Един момент.
не спря.
Един момент. Any moment. So I don't remember the name of the street or the name of the restaurant. I'm 89, or it sounds like 89 years old. We went in, we ate, we were there for an hour and a half, we came out. I don't know the name of the street, and then we were stopped.
Ресторант беше близко до улицата, където
The restaurant was close to the street where we were stopped.
I know you're not an attorney, but I don't see how this is particularly important.
I would like to present something to you, Your Honor, if you don't mind.
We need to do it through the rules of evidence. Does this witness have knowledge of what you want to present?
Yes, she
Then
is.
ask her about whatever it is you're going to present.
Спомняте ли си колко бързо ни спря полицая след като излязахме на улицата? Do you remember the distance when from the restaurant to the point where we stopped?
много малко, една минута, не знам. Много малко беше. Той влезахме на улицата и ни спряха.
It was shortly after we came out on the street, very shortly after, and we were stopped.
So, Your Honor, may I present some sketches that I made to confirm that these evidence?
Unless you're showing them to the witness, this is not the proper time. You can do it if you testify. She didn't create the drawings, correct?
No,
She doesn't know anything about the drawings.
she knows that's confirmed the location where it was stopped.
Okay.
And
Well,
evidence of where we
I have,
started.
so far, the officer's testimony, she can testify as to where she thinks the location is. But otherwise, she would have to have that exhibit on her end of the phone, which I assume she doesn't have.
She doesn't have, Your Honor.
All right. The only way you can present that, you can present it during your testimony, but otherwise you're stuck with her answers. Unless she has the document in front of her, she cannot testify about something she can't see.
Yeah, I don't wanna disturb her anymore. She again. Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Madam Interpreter, thank you for your time. Please thank the witness for her time.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, could you kindly repeat?
I'm just thanking you for your time and thank the witness for her time.
Oh. Благодаря ви за отделеното време. Благодаря ви, госпожо, за вашето съдействие.
You can disconnect. Thank you, your interpreter.
Thank you.
Thank you for keeping our services. Goodbye.
And Officer Wilson, could you come back to the stand? The prosecutor finished asking questions of this witness. It's now your opportunity to cross-examine the officer by asking him questions. Please proceed. Officer, you're still under oath.
Okay, officer, do you remember the location where you used your radar towards the test while was driving? Location.
Yeah, I do. We call it the pump house. It's off of Summit in Maine.
I'm familiar with the pump house, but do you remember sitting in front of the sign?
Yes.
So, Your Honor, my witness confirmed that we were at Nuevo Vallarta restaurant.
Objection, Your Honor. She said they were eating at a restaurant. She couldn't say what
Yes.
restaurant it was.
So we were, Your Honor.
You only get to ask this witness questions. You don't get to testify. If you want to testify, that comes later. You can testify. But at this point, the legal procedure is this witness made his statements and you get to ask him questions about what he said. And if you have an argument saying, well, my mom said it was 500 feet and the officer said it was 1,000 feet, I'm making up numbers as an example, then you can argue that at closing arguments. But at this point, the procedure is you get to ask this witness questions about what he testified.
I don't have any other questions. I'm not attorney. I just came just to present my evidence and
And you can do that, but I also have to tell you, the law is if you proceed to trial without an attorney, you must still follow the rules of evidence that attorneys are bound by. And that's the risk people take when they represent themselves without an attorney. But that's long established American law. You're entitled to represent yourself, but you also face the risks of representing yourself. So unless you have more questions for this officer.
I don't have any other questions to.
Okay, Officer Wilson, you may step down. All right, sir. Besides your mother, did you have any other witnesses?
I don't have any other witnesses.
Do you wish to testify?
I wish to present these documents to you.
Well, the way that gets done is you have to be sworn under oath and you have to describe what these are, how they came, and why they should be admitted into evidence. Now, before we get to that, I'm required to give you a special warning. It's called a Curtis warning, named after the People versus Curtis case. You understand that you have an absolute right to remain silent under the US and Colorado constitutions.
I understand that.
You understand that you can simply argue the people haven't proven their case. You can argue anything based on what evidence there has. But if you choose to testify, you give up your right to remain silent, which means anything you say can be used against you in any conclusion that the court might reach. You understand that? That once you waive your right to remain silent, you cannot re-invoke it. That the way we handle your testifying is we don't make you ask yourself questions that would be rather silly. So I will swear you under oath to tell the truth. You will then make your statement and try to present whatever you have. And then you will be subject to cross-examination, that is questions from the prosecutor. If he asks you the first 4 questions and you don't have a problem with that and you answer, that's fine. If he asks the 5th question and you don't like the question, you cannot then say, I want to remain silent. Once you waive the right to remain silent, it's waived for all legally proper questions, all legal, any question that's in accordance with the rules of evidence. Do you understand that point? Okay. After you make your statement, you will be cross-examined by the prosecutor, and then you'll have one final opportunity to address anything else. Do you understand that procedure?
I understand you.
Do you think I've complied with?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, sir, and if you want to sit to make your statement, that's fine too. But first, raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury? All right, please make your statement either from there or wherever you're comfortable.
So Your Honor, on March 23rd this year, our family lost my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law she passed on the date of my wife's birthday, the 40th birthday. That was a really harsh time for our family. So my wife was out of the country to bury her body. We all were stressed out. So on that date of the event, I was driving with my family, my son, my daughter, and my mom to Breckenridge just to take a breath from the stressful time. And we stopped at on Nuevo Vallarta. It's a restaurant that I like to present. We stopped there for dinner. We were there for about an hour and a half. And then our journey continued to Breckenridge. May present evidence of my exit of the parking towards Breckenridge, where I was stopped by the officer.
Okay. I understand you so far.
The approach.
There's nothing to approach. What do you want to approach for?
I'd like to present, I'll present, my location where I started from the restaurant, how I exit the parking lot and where
Okay.
it was stopped.
You need to describe what it is. You need to mark each one as an exhibit. To call them, I have you use letters, exhibits A and B. How many do you have?
I have to.
All right, so exhibits A and B.
exhibit
Have you
A.
provided a copy to the prosecutor previously?
I have shown these copies to the prosecutors.
Maybe like during his arraignment date.
Okay.
I'd
So
like a copy.
you need to show him right now, you need to describe each one and that you are the author of it and what it supposedly shows, and then show that to the prosecutor.
Okay, may I present, exhibit 1.
There are steps to presenting exhibits is what I'm trying to tell you. And I'm trying to tell you how to do it. So the first thing is, tell me what exhibit 1 is. And actually you can't use 1, he's got 1. So you can use 3 or 4, or you can use A or B, I don't care which.
So, Your Honor, I'm gonna present exhibit Z.
Z, all right, if you want to start at the end of the alphabet, that's fine. I don't care. So exhibit Z, and what is exhibit Z?
Showing my driving location, starting location of the driving towards Breckenridge and how I exit, showing my driving route, getting to the main street and where exactly I was, where was the first stop sign was located.
Okay, and you created this exhibit,
Sure.
and is it based on any scale, or is this just sort of a demonstration example in general?
It's based on the scale and demonstration. I pulled these from Google Earth and I walk myself with the camera to take the pictures.
Please show it to the prosecutor.
So,
Hang on. He needs a minute to look at it.
Okay.
All right, now you can continue to describe.
so on this exhibit, Your Honor, I'm showing evidence that I was leaving the parking lot on the main street and the first sign that I saw was right in front of the officer.
Okay. I understand that's your testimony. And you want to offer exhibit B into evidence, or exhibit Z into evidence. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Sorry,
All right, now he gets to respond. Any objection to exhibit D?
That's
Z?
fine.
Okay.
I apologize. I don't have any experience with that.
No objection. Exhibit Z is admitted. All right.
Second exhibit is Y. And I'm presenting the location of the officer in regarding to the stop sign. The first stop sign that I was able to visually indicate from my route from the restaurant out on the main street.
I don't understand. There's no stop sign involved in the officer's testimony.
sorry,
but perhaps you can make that clear.
Apologize, the speed limit sign, Your Honor.
I don't object to it, but the exhibit depicts where the police officer was, and I can't verify if that's the exact location of the police officer without the police officer corroborating that.
Sure. Well, your witness is still behind you if you want to share that with him, or. The court will note for the record, I know where the pump house is. The court has lived in the Frisco area for 35 years. I know where the speed limit signs are. I know where the pump house is. The pump house is very close to where the 10 Mile Creek Bridge is, where 10 Mile Creek enters the Dillon Reservoir. Sits up on kind of a very small hill. I'm quite familiar with the location of the pump house. If you want to cross-examine the officer, well, you already said you had no more questions for the officer. If you want to tell me the officer wasn't there or where he was, you go ahead and tell me what you have to tell me. Any,
I would object to the exhibit because it states where the officer was located. And Officer Wilson has indicated to me that that's not where he was located when he was
okay.
on
I think
Summit
I'll
in Maine.
allow it in for being the defendant's version of where the officer was, and you can cross-examine him about that and even recall the officer on rebuttal to say, nope, not true. I think that's the proper way to handle that.
Thank you.
So
All right, sir.
Your Honor,
Continue.
I was on tremendous pressure and stress during this time. I understand that hour and a half from being away from driving, you don't remember traffic, I'm sorry, speed limits or anything like that. The first speed limit, what I saw was right in front of the officer's vehicle. And I swear that was the first visible speed limit sign in front of me. I was on tremendous pressure, tremendous stress during this harsh time, and we still worrying about my mother-in-law.
I'm hearing you. Continue.
I'm not here to question the officer's skills, certificates, the technology and everything. My arguments here is that from the location of the restaurant to the speed limit, that was where I was stopped. That was the first visible speed limit that was visible on my route. And that was the first indication that I need to be with 35, Your Honor.
Okay, I hear you.
So
Continue, please.
So I'm here just to present my case, and I'm not an attorney, obviously. I don't know the rules. I'm here just to tell the truth and the only truth what I'd like to explain.
Okay, anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. I'll receive the exhibits and look at them. All right, you may be seated for cross-examination.
Your Honor, if I can have the defendant sit at the end of the dais so it's on the microphone.
That'd be fine.
Thank you.
Okay, cross-examination, please.
You stated you were going to Frisco on May 3rd. And you were coming from Denver.
It's coming from Denver.
Did you take I-70? And do you recall what exit you got off of?
That's the main street. I think that's the only exit.
Was it the same street as the restaurant that you were on, that you were eating at?
The Bueno Verde, yes.
So you traveled from I-70 south to that restaurant?
Yes.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. Any further statement from you, sir?
I just wanted to say that during a stressful time and harsh time for my family, it's really easy to forget if you drive 2 hours before that, and what was the speed limit on the main street, Your Honor?
I hear your statement. Okay. Are you done presenting your case, sir? Do you have anything else?
No, I don't.
All right.
I don't.
Any rebuttal?
May I recall Officer Wilson to just testify as to Exhibit Y? May I approach
You may approach to retrieve the exhibits. You can have them both if you wish.
I'll let you keep, you can keep that one.
That's Z. And I'm actually gonna mark this on here.
Officer Wilson, that's previously admitted Exhibit Y. Do you see where it marks where you were located?
I do.
Was that where you were located at any time on May 3rd, 2024?
No, it was not.
And how do you know that you weren't located there?
Because I was approximately, I would say about 800 feet from that location, south, where the pump house was located at Summit of Main Street.
And can I just, you've asked this already, but well, let me ask, do you know where Nuevo Vallarta restaurant is?
I do.
How many speed limit signs are there between I-70 and that restaurant?
There's, I believe two. I think I recall two.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Sir, your chance to ask the officer
I
any
have
additional questions.
objections, the owner presented, this exhibit Z where it's showing where my route from the restaurant to the first, visible speed limit where the officer was, that stopped me, and I don't recall seeing a single, speed limit before that.
You've already testified to that. My question is, do you have any other questions for this officer?
I still don't understand the location of the officer. Could you explain on the picture where exactly that is?
And you can have exhibit 1 if you wish.
If I can, that would be great.
We'll let the prosecutor do the exercise.
I can't point out where I was sitting at on exhibit Y.
Z.
Z, due to the fact of the map being cut off of where I was actually sitting. According to exhibit Y, I was located again, like I said, about 800, roughly 800 feet south of where this exhibit is stating where I was.
Okay, he's answered your question. Do you have other questions? I don't have any. All right, thank you very much. Officer, you may step down and you can pass those exhibits back over to me. Thank you. Closing arguments for the people.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Sir, any additional argument you wish to make?
No, I just give you, just to present the truth.
Okay, thank you. First of all, sir, let me pass on the court's condolences to the loss of your mother-in-law, and especially on your wife's birthday. I understand the stresses that can happen. I'm not without sympathy on that. My wife passed away on her own birthday, so I can understand how those kind of emotions impact one. But I also have to tell you that traffic laws are what's called a strict liability offense. That, for example, there's a case in Colorado where someone argued they had their speed control on and they were coming down. I actually think they were coming down from the top of Vail Pass to Copper Mountain, if I recall the case correctly. And they got a speeding ticket for coming down eastbound on I-70, and they were going faster than the speed limit. And they went, but I had my speed control on. It's still a speed violation, regardless of the reason behind it, whether it's mechanical or in your case, if it's emotional. That I don't know if I can explain it any further, but I know where the restaurant is. I even remember when it used to have another name, Tiamo, and they were private practice clients of mine at that location. So I do know the location rather well, but I also know where all the speed limit signs. And when you got off of I-70, you passed a sign at Walmart. There's a sign, well, actually from 70, it's the other way. It's first you see the bank there, which is kind of the entrance to Safeway. There's a bank there. There's a speed limit sign there. Then there's one by Walmart. There's one by Hahn Drive. Now, Hahn Drive is the traffic light that you can turn, or you can turn into the parking lot of that restaurant from that light. But you did go past those speed limit signs in order to get into the restaurant. Now, when you pulled out of the restaurant, and this actually is in your own picture, Exhibit Y, you see the speed limit sign of 35. And where you're saying the officer location is, he disagrees. And I believe him because the pump house is further on past this speed limit sign. It is closer to where the creek is than where you're showing it on your map. And based on the officer's time and experience of being in that location. And I also have to point out practically, if he was where you're saying, he would have been in plain view. He'd be sitting on the sidewalk, or the bike path rather. I guess it's the bike path at that point, where the officers always sit back up past this blue spruce, past the 35-mile-an-hour sign, so you can't see them. So I'm well aware of where they sit all the time. And he was sitting farther south on the road than where this occurred. As far as the technology, the court finds that pursuant to People versus Walker, that LiDAR is scientifically accepted. The machine was certified, the officer was certified that the LiDAR gave a valid reading of the speed being 35-mile-an-hour zone. I find that the machine accurately reported you were traveling 56. In a sense, sir, you're asking me to give me a sympathy, give me a break defense, which unfortunately I can't do under the law. If the prosecutor had offered you fewer points based on that, you should have accepted that. I am required by law to find the prosecutors prove beyond a reasonable doubt you were exceeding the speed limit more than 10 and less. In which way was this charged? This was actually charged as a 6-point speed. So you were more at 56, and at 35, you were 21 miles an hour over the posted limit. And therefore I must find you guilty of speeding 6 points. So, you are, any requests about the penalty?
No, Your Honor.
Sir, you are entitled to make a statement about what the penalty should be, if you wish, but you're not required to say anything further. Is there anything you'd like to tell me that pertains to the amount of the fine as opposed to?
Once again, I'm not questioning qualification of the officer. I'm here just because everybody's going through a difficult time, and I'm a good driver, I don't have troubles with the speed. I was under emotion and stress, and I asked if we can get any reductions in the points.
I can't change the points. I don't have legal authority to do that. At this point, I simply control the amount of the fine. Okay, driving record shows defective vehicles in Denver in 2015 and 2016, Denver area, I guess I'd say. Speeding in 2016 in Arvada Municipal Court, apparently that time period was a rough one. And last ticket was in 2020, so that was 4 years ago for too fast for conditions. I don't think that's bad enough to require driving school. But the court will impose the $200 fine schedule plus $55 court costs and surcharge for a total of $255. Can you pay that today or do you need time? You can pay that. Very good. I also advise you that you have the right to appeal my decision to the district court by filing the appropriate appellate paperwork in accordance with the Colorado Rules of Appellate Procedure within 35 days of my decision today. The court can't give you advice as to how to do that. You would be responsible for doing that on your own, looking at the rules and providing the appropriate paperwork to both the district court and this court, or getting the advice of an attorney to do so. Any questions? All right, please see my court clerk for payment. That will conclude tonight's session. Mr. Maloney? Was this the case we addressed earlier?
Yes, Your Honor.
The people have moved to dismiss your case as the witness is ill and unavailable.
Thank you. That's it?
We adjourn
We are adjourned until next month,
January.
January.
I know. Jeez. January 15th, I believe.
These exhibits should go in the court file until the appeal period is passed.
Do you have copies of these exhibits?
I have,
Could you just throw them away for me? Thank
Yep.
you. Merry Christmas.
You as well.
Thank you for coming out.
Next time I'll probably see you guys is after February 15th, so.
Yes.
You're gonna be down on.
Nice. Well, we got no trials next month, so.
Good.
And I think our next court date is the 18th, so maybe you have something fun to come back to.
Did, trying to think about, we might have done 75.
He took the deal. Yeah.
Okay.
So we have no trial scheduled. So next month's a regular court date. And if someone pleads not guilty next month, it's good to know that you'll be on paternity leave because I'll just make sure that court schedules the trial for March or April.
Oh, never mind, the guy for 75 is January 15th, so.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of fine.
Okay, yeah, fine. No, that other individual. He was going 75 outside.
Oh, okay.
He's probably gonna,
Well, that'll be a fun one.
yeah, he'll find it.
well, these people were so cantankerous here. I set more trials in Silverthorne and Blackhawk today than I've sat in the last 12 months. I've stopped and think, in Blackhawk, I set a 10:30 and 11, an 11:30, a 12, and a 12:30. I set 5 trials in Blackhawk, a half hour apart. We'll see what, we'll see what happens. And in Silverthorne, I only set 3
Okay.
for next month, but then also 3 farther down because of I set 2 jury trials in Silverthorne.
Oh, okay. That'll be a fun time for you.
Well, I love those. Those
Yeah.
are fun. Though,
But
No.
will anything beat the 89-year-old will carry a mother that can't remember anything? That's one you tell your family about over the holidays, you know?
yeah, it is. It's sad, but it's like you try to be gentle explaining.
Yeah.
This is an educational process, and I'm always torn between being an educator and being. Are you effing kidding me?
Yeah. We actually had a fun one down in Leadville today.
Did you?
Trial. The defendant was babysitting a 6-year-old kid and smoking weed in a public park. The 6-year-old kid's father, who's divorced from the mother, it's not his visitation day, but he heard the kid was at the park, so he came by and checked on the kid and said hi. That's when the babysitter decided that it was time to light up and smoke some weed. Then the dad called the cops on her because it's a violation of the Leadville Municipal Code to publicly consume marijuana. A sheriff deputy showed up, 2 cops showed up. She admitted to all of them that she was smoking marijuana. So she comes to court 2 months ago. I offer this deferred judgment. She is like major issues. Takes the deal, doesn't take the deal, goes to plea not guilty, then actually says, no, actually, I want to take the deal. So we go back in, I have her sign the paperwork. She goes back, the judge gets to it. Okay, and then so you've only got this, like, it was like $150 fine, the fees, and then a drug class. She's like, oh shit, I forgot about the drug class. Is there any way to get that off? The judge is like, well, no, you've agreed to this. And frankly, in this court with a drug offense, I'd always put you in a drug class. She said, well, then you know what? I'm not guilty. I'm not letting the system get me. I'm like, okay, so we'll go.
The system.
Yeah. So we'll go to trial. So we go to trial today. I wheel out my 3 witnesses. They all say that she said she was smoking weed. And it's her time. Yeah. When it's her time to testify, she just says she's smoking weed. And she points to tattoos on her arms and says, do you see this art? It was done with a hemp needle. The Constitution of the United States was written on hemp paper and all this stuff. She gets through her spiel. Remember, my deal was, $150, $200 drug class.
Yeah.
The judge fined her $2,000.
Wow.
Our friend.
She must have been pissed.
She was pissed because it was in a public park at a park called the Kitty Corral. And the judge said, you're in a public park meant for children and you're supervising a child and you're getting high in the public park. She gave $2,000 fine. She said, I'm going to cut it in half. You're going to do $1,000 fine and you're going to work 60 hours at the animal shelter because that's what equates to $1,000 on minimum wage. And you are going to do some drug classes too. This is the best part. Defendant goes, honestly, judge, I was hoping you'd just throw me in jail. And the judge says, well, do you have a job or housing? She said, no, I don't. I have a house I live in, but I don't have a job right now. The judge says, so how do you live? And she says, well, I just run away from all of my responsibilities. The judge is like, what does that mean? She's like, well, I'm squatting in my own home. I haven't paid the mortgage in 5 months. Judge is like, well, are you going to get foreclosed on? She's like, I don't know. I see paperwork on the front door. I don't